Last we said it.
Me, everybody. Good morning. We'll get started in just a few minutes. I'm just sorting my computer out at the moment, just trying to find the things I'm going to want for today. Where am I? How am I going with my life? Welcome if you've just arrived. Good morning. My computer just did a restart update. Luckily, I had 5 minutes to spare, but I'm still reopening everything. So let me just... So welcome. How are we today anyway? Are we all good? Yep, I reckon. Definitely everybody's jam-packed for assignment submissions. So that's actually what today is all about. I'll just check the time before I've got another minute or so. So today there isn't lecture content. I think that you've had enough of me talking about stuff that you need. But what I thought I'd do, well, when I say stuff that you need, like theory and going over the components of how to get from point A to point B. So that's kind of what the whole trimester so far has been about. But my intention today is have a session where you can ask questions or for any clarity or anything that you need to know. If you've got any concerns or uncertainty around the assignments, the two that are coming up this weekend, then this is a good opportunity. No, we'll apologise. I've actually got a really tickly throat and I've been coughing and spluttering for a few days. So I've got a throat thing to try and help me stop my coughing because it's pretty annoying. So well, I've got nothing to share. So any questions? You can ask or you can jump on the chat. I can see the chat, so. If you've got a question, just ask it, Alka.
Hi, good morning, Dr. Jeffries.
Good morning.
I have two questions.
Yep.
First is about the portfolio. The section 1 is not mentioned in our rubric.
What is section 1? Can you just remind me?
That's a refined business problem statement. So my question is if the word counts from that are going to be counted, should be counted or not?
Yes.
It should be counted.
Yeah, because it should only be, it's one sentence, right?
No, actually it has like 4 parts to it. That's why it wants to restate and
Let me just get the assignment instructions open.
Please.
Hold on. Can you guys hear my squeaky chair?
No.
Oh, good, because it's really annoying. Okay, hold on. Let me just, oh, goodness knows what. There we go. I can't even get anything open on my computer now. Sorry, my computer is actually being really annoying and I can't get it off this screen. Here we go. Sorry, that's not a you problem, that's a me problem. So let me just get the assignment instructions open. Now I can get in there. I'll just check what it actually says. The thing is, I write these things a long time before you're looking at them. So by the time you're looking at them, I've not read them recently. It's just opening. Sorry, my computer's done a reboot and so everything's taking a while. Okay. Sure. Where's the word count? Oh, approximately, yeah. So included in your word count, but it's only an approximate word count. So that gives the reason that the word count is here. So what I will do is if I have a hard word count and I say do not exceed 10,000 words, for example, don't exceed 10,000. But this is around about 2.5. So that's the reason that that's there is to give you an idea of how long the the portfolio is expected to be. If it's slightly over or slightly under, I'm fine with that. So it's not included in the rubric itself, and that's because you've already received a grade for that. So we're not, to put it back in here would require that I regraded work that had already been graded. So I'm not going to do that, but you can expect some feedback on it. Does that make sense?
Yes, because since it wants to re-explain how after feedback we have developed,
right.
So it was eating a lot of words. That's why I brought up the question.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you get up, if it's so 2.5 is somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000, right? So that's kind of what I'm expecting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just to give you an idea of that it's not just a 6-page thing, right? It's quite intensive.
Yeah. And another question is,
yes.
It's a general question. I think everybody is wondering about that. It's the week 6 journal. What is it that we are supposed to enter in that?
Yeah, so this is kind of what goes into, you've got the course has been 6 weeks so far. And so my intention was that you would have a journal entry for each of the weeks. Now, somehow the students have morphed that into being related to only to the workshops. But of course, you're using AI outside of the workshops as well. So they're kind of like, what I'm expecting is that you are going to have 6 journal entries relating to either the first week before you started in your workshops, how were you using AI there, or an additional one, or a week workshop 5 plus a few days, how have you used it since the workshop. So 6 entries is the rule, or is the requirement, sorry, not the rule. And it doesn't matter. Right.
Thank you. I'll just means how I am thinking on it is I was planning to include what I have learned from week 1 to week 5 and week 6. Like it's a summary of how my focus has changed or
Yeah.
how my AI interaction has changed.
That would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
okay.
Like my surprise here is that you're all overthinking it. Like so far we've had 6 weeks, there's 6 journal entries. Fill them in a whatever way makes the most sense to you. Question. Okay. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Just apply human thinking to it and it will be fine. Don't panic that there's only been 5 workshops.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I'll make it work. Whatever you do will be fine.
Thank you for that.
All right. So look at the, I uploaded, for those of you who haven't noticed or who may not have noticed, I uploaded a marking rubric for that, specifically for that within the last week, just to give you an idea of the sorts of things. So go back to the assignment instructions and just take another look and see kind of what I'm looking for specifically, or how I intend that these will be graded. Do we need a cover sheet for the portfolio? Sure, why not? Cover sheets aren't included in your word count, but no big deal either way. You don't have to, because we can already see whose work it is through the submission on Moodle. So it's fine. If you want to put a cover sheet on, put a cover sheet on. If you forget to do one or don't want to, that's fine too. Personally, I don't like them, but it's not part of the rubric. You will have a cover sheet required for your final report assignment, because that is a presentation that you are making for your client. You've chosen, okay. In the portfolio, I've chosen Pestle, but I haven't been able to find a suitable published diagram. Yes, you can do that. You can definitely create your own diagram based on the published literature from about that framework. That would be okay. I would do that myself if I couldn't find one. In fact, I frequently do, because I don't like the pictures. Insert the diagram of the framework into your portfolio and cite it correctly. So cite where how I would deal with that is adapted from and whoever the authors are. So the one that I created and talked about in class last week was Porter's 5 Forces. That's not the diagram for Porter's, that's one that I created, but I would still reference it and say it was adapted from Porter 1997, I think it was. Just going off Elka's question on the 6th entry, are we going, if we are doing of this, yeah. No, if there's not 6 entries, then you can only get graded on 5. I want 6 entries. It's not up to 6, it is 6. But great question. Thanks. You're right there. You've got the same cough I've got, have you?
Hi, Danielle.
Hi. Hi.
So quick question regarding week 6 weekly uh, journal thing. Since I was thinking the same as my other classmates about
Yep.
doing a reflection, but since it's a reflection and there might not be like an AI prompt or any screenshots to share, is that fine? Like if we don't like fill in the
Sure,
appendix
that's a
of the
good,
week?
yeah. So what I would do in that case is so if it's authentically your own reflection, then you would just put in the appendix that you did this work by yourself. Personally, I would probably use AI to help me with my reflection, in which case you do have some artifacts for the AI learning log, right?
Okay.
So it depends on how you do it. If you authentically do it without AI, then you should state that in there, because there's no, I don't have any issues with you using AI. And if you can get AI to help you to write a really good quality reflection, well, good on you. That's okay. You're allowed to do that. Right. So I want to see the stuff that you're using the AI for there. I personally would be using AI for that, but you do you.
All
So
right.
just account for it, right?
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Just be authentic about what you've done and we won't have a problem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you've got a question, just jump in and ask it.
Yeah.
Lorena.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Danny. Good morning. I just have a question here. So when it comes to the session 2 engagement part, I was just wondering, the 10 credible sources, do we need it? I mean, besides the reference that we have in our list, do we need to put it in sort of like a table format or like bullet points, or just for you to know that we are using those 10 sources? Or it should
Okay,
be
I'm just
enough?
rereading it now just to make sure that so this would be you finding a minimum of 10 quality credible sources. And what I mean is the top 3 tiers of the pyramid, right? So that is excluding of news sources and company websites, for example. So grey literature, academic. So the 3 top tiers are academic literature, government statistics, and grey literature. So the things published by industry reports and white papers, for example. So your 10 need to include those. Sorry, somebody needs to mute their background conversation. Hassan, I think it's you. I'll just give you a little quick note. Good job. Okay, so now I'll get back to where I was. So 10 credible. So you might have 15 on this list, for example, or 20. If there's not 10 that are top tier, so top 3 tiers, then you haven't met the A level criteria for that assignment. So what
Right.
then you're going to show what you've been doing as far as your thematic analysis goes, and you can use some of the tools that we've been teaching over the time. So let me just think what we were using. We were using finding themes in your literature, and we were also taking your literature and applying it to the framework that you were using, for example. So this is essentially that part before we did our framework analysis stuff. Is essentially what I'm expecting in here. So what are the themes? What do you know? What do you still not know here? And then demonstrating how you recognize that some sources are stronger than others. So how do you know that this report is credible or not? So show me your thinking around that. Show me how you've validated that. So if you have used AI, for example, to come up with a list of credible sources, how did you go about validating that they were genuine?
Yeah. So that would
and
be
then
similar to one of the workshops that we actually did some
absolutely,
activity like, all right,
yep,
okay.
yep, very
Right.
similar to one of the workshops.
All right.
Yep.
Thank
In
you.
fact, most of these are very similar to one of the workshops. The workshops were built around setting you up for success for this portfolio.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, so take the work that you created in your workshop and expand on it for your portfolio. Yeah. More questions?
Hi, Danny.
Hi.
Just going off of Lorena's question, would you like us to present the literature review in a table format to show you which ones we're actually referring to? Like apart from just in-text citations that we're adding.
I'm wondering where in here it's asking for that literature review. Let me just...
Sorry, I just mean the review of the 10 minimum credible sources.
Yeah, I review... The way that this is presented, ideally this would have been a literature review, but it's kind of set up in such a way that you could present this as a table, right?
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
could absolutely do that. So if we say, like, obviously we could have 10 minimum. If we go up to 15, you're sort of happy for us to extend that table to that much?
Yes, so I see what you're saying. So what I would do in that case is split the table so that half of it's appearing on one page and yeah, so that it's not just 5 pages, you know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
discuss in the body. I'm just trying to think, how do I get out of this without actually contradicting what I've said earlier? I think what you should do, sorry, who am I talking to? Is that you, Karina?
Yes, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what you should do here is, if your literature review table is more than a full page, is that you should summarize the key themes with in-text citations and move the table itself into the appendix.
Okay. In that case,
And
because
refer to the appendix for the deeper analysis.
so just in that case, if we are moving it to the appendix because the appendix doesn't count in the word count,
Yeah.
could we make the table on Excel and then include a screenshot just for
No,
visibility?
I'd rather it was text. So what you can do, and Google will be your friend here, is actually you can get you can insert a section break in Word, and you can actually flip the pages past that section break to horizontal.
Oh, I like a marking rubric, right? Sort of like how those
Probably
are
like a marking rubric. Yeah.
Okay.
Have I done that in our document?
I think in some of them they are like that. So I think I've got the
Yeah,
idea
so
of
I
what
can
you
make
mean.
that page horizontal if I
Yeah.
wanted to make it wider, even though the document itself is portrait style. You can actually flip pages within a section to have those landscape. So if it makes sense for you, you can also make the text size down to about 9 point for your tables is acceptable.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just to
Thank
try and make it smaller. And yeah,
Great. Yeah, and then we just include an explanation in the body.
yeah,
and
refer
to
me to
table.
refer the grader to the appendix. Like,
Yeah.
here's a summary of, you know, these were the key. What are we doing here? Looking for. And so you're just demonstrating your engagement with the literature. So what did you learn about the literature? Write a paragraph or two about that, but make sure that you refer the marker to Appendix 1 or Appendix 2.
Yeah.
So that they can actually go and look at that work in context.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you
If
so
it's
much.
not referred to in the body, it will be missed and you'll be downgraded for that section because it's incomplete.
Yeah.
But I'm okay for you to refer us to where the work actually is.
Okay. And that's obviously not included in our word count, so we can add more in that. Great.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh. Okay. Oh, Karina, have I answered that first question of yours? I have. Yes, I have. Okay. I'm losing the plot with my questions. Okay. Any others?
Hi, Danny.
Hi. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, hi, good morning. I would have a question regarding the evidence validation appendix.
Yep. Let me just get
Um,
to that. Yep.
yeah, okay. So, does the evidence validation appendix count into our word count as well?
I believe that by you calling it an appendix moves it into the appendix section,
Yes.
and therefore it is not in your word count.
Okay. Okay.
So you do
Understood.
need
But
to include a full reference list somewhere, not sure where.
yes.
I would do it before that and make that appendix 1 as your evidence validation appendix.
Okay. Understood. But okay. So because there is a list that we need to follow, like from section 1 up until section 6. So
Yeah.
would it be advisable for, okay, so right after section 5 would be the evidence validation appendix. Would it be okay to just put in a sentence and say that the table, how we're planning to justify the 3 important references is in appendix 1, so please refer to
Yep.
appendix 1.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great.
You also, it doesn't specifically say there as a section as to where you would put your reference list, but of course it does say it in your presentation section there as to that a APA reference list is required.
Yeah.
So normally you would finish the portfolio, include your
Mhm.
references, and then put your
Mhm.
appendices after the reference list.
After that. Okay, yes.
If
all
you're
right,
wondering
perfect.
where it goes, it would go between section 5 and the workings of section 6. So you could put section
Okay.
6 and then 7 would be the reference list. And then appendix 1 would be the evidence validation appendix,
All right. Okay.
which aligns
Okay.
with exactly what you just said.
Yes. Yes. So here I am just trying to validate what I have already done for the portfolio. So you have really confirmed it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you
As
so much.
long as there's so as long as in the body of the portfolio you are referring to something in the appendix, it won't be
Yes.
missed, right? It will still form part of your grade. If you just
Yes.
tack it on the end and
Mhm.
don't signpost that me or the markers need to go and look there, we're not
Mhm.
going to. I'm purposely not going to, right?
Okay.
Because it's not
Yes.
there as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's not there unless
That
it's in the unless it's
aligns.
referred to in the body.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah. That aligns with everything you have said before as
It,
well about
I
referring you
I
back to the
I
appendix.
hope I'm consistent.
Yes. Yes. You have been very consistent with that.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Dr.
You're
Danny.
welcome.
Hi, Danny. Sorry, another question. It's
No
Karina.
worries, Karina.
Of course, we're using AI to sort of help us through this portfolio, as you
Yep.
mentioned. How do we reference it in the reference list? Just so I'm not sure if APA 7
You
has
don't need
guidelines
to
for it.
reference AI because AI is not accessible. So there's kind of some debate around how it should be done.
Mhm.
I don't want you to reference AI because
Okay.
the purpose of referencing is for me to be able to go and find the exact sources that you used if I was also doing academic work along the lines that you are. So you are sharing your sources, so that
Yeah.
somebody else can replicate the work.
Yeah.
Whatever you do in AI cannot be accessed by another person, and so you don't need to cite it. Some people, and this is kind of a moving decision as far as academic fields go, some people cite it as personal communication. I think you don't need to bother because you will account for it in your journal.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
so
we don't need
don't
to
worry about,
acknowledge it at all.
You don't need to acknowledge it in this portfolio. The assumption is that you are, and the evidence of how you did that is in your AI journal.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So, Vinita, I'm just looking at your question. Just want to ask, is there a particular format that we have to follow for explaining how the elements of our chosen framework guide our analysis? So we framed analytical questions for each element that we chose by linking the literature. Yes, that's why you were asked to do it in the workshop. Does that answer the question? I'm going to assume yes, it does. You're welcome. Yeah. So the skills that you've been developing week by week are very closely aligned to you being able to meet the criteria for the portfolio. So the way that we've taught you in the workshops and or the way that I've presented in the lectures is how I want you to do it for the portfolio. It's the capture of you doing the thing that I've asked you to do. Hi, Palab.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the portfolio. After number 5, emerging insights, I want to be sure. Then should I use the references or after number 6?
Put your references. It depends on whether you're going to put the evidence validation appendix in the body. It should go between, where your reference list goes is between the end of your portfolio and the start of the appendix. It goes in on that page before the appendix. So where you put it depends on how you treat section 6. But according to, sorry, I can't remember who I was talking to earlier. I think maybe it was Matthew. We said that person, sorry, Matt, I think it was Matthew, said that they were going to put their appendix in their evidence validation appendix in the appendix, but refer to it and say that that's tell the marker where to find it, which is great, in appendix 1, in which case the reference list would go after section 6.
And the word count for number 6 would not be counted, as you told earlier.
That's right, because it's in an appendix, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mind you, I'm going to be sad if I'm getting some 10,000 word reports here, guys.
Is there
Edit
a
the work, right? Don't just do a dump of everything. You still need to edit it and make sure that it makes, logic check it. It needs to make sense. It needs to be well written, even if it's in the appendix. It's not just a place for you to dump AI outputs and leave it for the marker to make sense of that. That's not our job. It's our job to follow your thinking, and we're going to do that in sequence, right? So each section will be looked at separately. We're not going to read the whole document and then start applying grades. The grades will be section by section. Right, somebody else, I think, had a question.
hi, Danny.
Hi.
Is there a table format for the appendix?
Is there a
You
table
want-
format for the appendix?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I understand that question. I'm sorry.
Do we have a particular format in which we have to follow for the appendix?
No,
Okay.
just whatever you decide needs to go in there.
Okay.
I was talking to maybe Karina just before about saying if something is on a table and the table's super wide, that you can insert a section break and turn that page horizontally rather than like make it so it's easy for the marker to read, essentially.
Okay.
If a table is so if a table is split in weird places and it's very difficult to read, you're not going to do well. So presentation is still key. Now, many people will write their reports in 12-point font, which is fine. But tables can be smaller. You could get right down to probably 9-point before it starts getting too small to read.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just make it, presentation is important, right? So make it so that the person who's looking at the work is not scratching their head saying, I don't even understand what's going on here. Like, spell it out. Treat us like we're dumb.
Okay, Danny, thank you.
Yeah, presentation accounts for a lot.
Yep.
In fact, it's one of the things I teach in my in a second year paper on analytics is with data visualization, is that a lot of errors can be compensated for, or allowances. People will make allowances if the visualizations are well designed, even if even if it's not perfectly correct. If it's easy to understand, people will, if it's visually well laid out, people will make allowances for that. And I think that carries through to the presentations of your own, your other written work as well. Hi. So did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Presentation accounts for a lot. So I've got a hi, but not a question here in the chat. So are you typing? That means we need to add validation index and reference list separately as two appendices. Reference list is not an appendix. It goes before the appendix. It's part of the portfolio. Your appendix you may have, so I would number my appendices and refer in the document to them in the order that they appeared in the document. So if you pushed your engagement with literature section, if you had a paragraph in the portfolio and then referred me to an appendix, I would expect to find the engagement with literature appendix before something that occurred later in the portfolio. So keep them in the sequence in which you refer to them. So you might say that so if you did that, say, and the engagement with literature would then be potentially appendix 1, and then you did your evidence validation appendix, that would be appendix 2 or appendix B if you're going, depending on how you number them. So keep them in the correct sequence, and each one has what does it have? It has like a heading, so I know where appendix 1 starts, where appendix 2 starts. So give them a heading. Don't just dump them all in there and expect me to figure it out. You could include a table of contents. That would be great. You could do that, definitely. Wouldn't be in your word count. And then you would be able to list your appendices on the table of contents as well. So yeah, you absolutely can do that. You're welcome. In fact, it would help readability, although it's not a requirement because it's not built into the structure of the assignment. But you can guarantee that all of these things are going to be changed for next year's assignment. We'll build some more stuff into there. It takes a lot of explanation. Any other questions?
So references can be written in appendix A, then evidence would be in
No.
appendix B, like that?
References are not in an appendix. They are part of the portfolio and they come before the appendix.
Okay. And the references would not be counted.
Correct.
Yeah.
They do go at the end of the portfolio, but before the appendix section. So essentially on this, it would be section 7 is references.
Section 7.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Or, yeah.
that means evidence validation appendix, then references, not before that. If I give in section 7.
Yeah. Yeah. So you might, in section 6, you might say, here, and you might say, here are the 3 to 4 most important references. And then you're going to put, and highlight what they are, and then say, and talk about how your analysis of these will be found in appendix, probably appendix B or appendix 2. And then your reference list, and then your appendices, appendix 1, appendix 2, or A, B, depending on how you number them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Danny. I have another question, please, on the AI
Yes, please.
journal. The first 2 points, the completeness and consistency. I was just going through the rubric of it. Are you able
Sorry,
to
the what?
explain
Sorry,
it?
I've got background noise here, and I just can't hear what you just said. What was the question? Section 1 and
Yeah, I'm referring to the AI journal. The
okay,
first 2
sorry,
points.
different document. Okay, let me just get that one open. I haven't got that open. AI rubric. Yep.
The first 2 points, the
Just
completeness
let me
and
get it open
consistency.
first. Completeness
Sorry.
and consistency. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and then the reflection and integration.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to elaborate on that a little bit more, please?
I probably can. So hold on just a little minute. What am I looking for? So the first criteria, completeness and consistency, is about whether you've followed the required structure of the weekly research journal and provided all of the necessary components. So have you done each of the 6 tasks? Have you done that? And to what degree have you done that? So the next one is about your ability to reflect on the week. So one is about completing the activity, so completion, and the next one is about your ability to reflect on what you've been doing and then to link your own insights to the development of your project. So sorry.
So the first one,
Sorry,
you're
I
saying
need
like
to just
all
put the
6
volume up.
entries.
You're very quiet.
Sorry, you
Okay.
can hear me?
I can now. Yeah, I've just increased my volume. Okay, go
So the
again.
first one you're referring to all 6 entries. All 6 entries meaning like, yes, I've understood everything. So
6
how?
weeks. Yep.
Yeah. So I've understood everything. So how do you want me to put that across for the AI journal?
I'm not understanding your question. You've got 6. There is a template for the AI journal as a Word document on Moodle. And in that, it has a reflection section with kind of some questions. Some will be appropriate each week and some won't, right? So the first criteria 1 is about your completion of those activities. Did you do them and how well? So if you consistently follow every required subsection, Like, do you do as much of it as is relevant for that particular week? That your application of that is clear and consistent across every week, that you're using the headings and the formatting correctly, that everything is kind of like tidy and the journal is easy to follow. So this is around the consistency and the completeness of the entries themselves. You're given a template, use it, basically. The second one is about your reflection and whether your reflection is sustained every week, and does it appear to be that I'm seeing a development in your thinking over time, and that you're consistently connecting the insights from the week of the things that you were doing in the workshop, that you're connecting those with the work that you're doing. Or if it's a week where you're doing pure reflection, does it link back to the things that you've learnt over the previous 5 weeks, for example? Whether you're noticing in your reflection changes over time, it has your own thinking developed. What did you think in week 1 about how to use AI compared to what you think in week 6? How has that changed and what does that mean? So that's kind of what I mean by the reflection and the integration of what you're doing with what you're thinking.
Okay,
Good?
Danny, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, so they are separate things.
Okay.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
What else have we got? Back again. Survived another bout of coughing.
Hi, Jenny. Sorry, it's Karina. Another
Welcome back,
question.
Karina. Haven't heard from you for a while.
My bad. Don't mean to bother you so much.
You're not bothering. Honestly, I do not mind. This is the most appropriate place for you to be asking me questions. So jump right in.
Okay, great. For the emerging insights,
Yes.
this might be a silly question, but it says that we need to present a few early findings or
Yeah.
patterns from our initial evidence. So is that us leaning towards solutions already?
It's kind of signaling where you think you're going to go next, as in it's very hard to give you any examples without an actual problem and without having done all of this work again. But when we've reviewed our literature and we've looked at the framework, and we can probably look at that and go, look, I'll give you an example from my own PhD is probably easier. So I did a full literature review, and I had kind of some areas for questioning, and I went out and I spoke to, I had Hui, and then as I was transcribing these things, I started to get, so this is just at transcription, and you've already done a little thematic analysis. I started to think there seems to be something going on around this area here. What might that mean? There seems to be something around my research was on co-design, so there seems to be something around in my research it was like competitive versus cooperative when it comes to the designing of mobile applications. Cultural, like there appears to be a link here, and it's like, this is where I think this thing's going, and that's all I'm looking for there, is where do you think this thing's going? Like, for all of the reading that you've done and all of the analysis, what do you reckon is going to be the direction of the problem?
Okay, so like it's not really what might be the root of the problem.
No. Oh, it could be. You could say, look, I'm starting to get a sense. Somebody's making noises. You could say, I'm starting to get a sense that this problem relates to,
Like, for
I don't know.
example, if like we're researching a project, it's got cost overruns.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen and the evidence and, you know, the sources, we think it might be stemming from a lack of governance and
And
accountability.
there's an emerging finding. You're not saying that it is.
It's just
You're
what
saying you're
we
starting to
think.
think it could be. Yeah.
So there's not really any like, typically we wouldn't reference so much. It's sort of what our perception from the findings are.
Yeah, yeah. So so you're not making a recommendation to your CEO. What you're saying is, I actually think this is the point of I think this is the problem. I think this is the thing where I think that solutions are going to come from. This is the thing that we're going to end up trying to solve. And that will be important. Now, you aren't being asked to provide recommendations.
Yeah.
We're not doing that until we get into our group work, and that's going to be the core of of the second half of the paper. But really, what do you think is, you've got this framework and you've got 5 constructs or 5 components of that.
Yeah.
From everything that you've read about it, where do you think is you're answering where do I think this is going? Where do I think that where do I actually think the problem is? Have I uncovered something else that actually might be connected to the problem but not explicitly talked about in other literature? So it's really, you're talking through here in this section your interpretation of what's going on and what you think. When I say what they should do about it, is what should be being focused on for the coming up with solutions or recommendations section.
Yeah, and there may or may not be sources to sort of back our interpretation.
No, because you've pointed to all of this in sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. Like it, okay. I'm not expecting, when I get to 5, reading your report, I shouldn't be going, where did that come from? Honestly, section 5 should be state the bloody obvious, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I'm not expecting anything new here. Don't save it for section 5. If I get to section 5 and you're saying, oh, you know, the company needs to, whatever your problem is, the company needs to, you know, open a new head office somewhere else. It's kind of like, well, how do we get there? Right?
Yeah. So it's kind of like a conclusion for all the other 4.
Kind of like a conclusion. This is wrapping up, saying this is where I think the problem is, but keeping in mind that the very next step that you would take would be, so now you've got a problem statement and you've actually done a lot of research into what's going on around that. And now you kind of got a direction, as you've kind of applied the lens of the framework that you're using, as well as the lens of your major, and you're saying, this is what I think this is what's emerged from the literature.
Yeah.
And that is the problem, or that is those are the ideas that you would then take to build the solutions to here. And then from there you would go, here are some of the options, but we're not going to go to that bit in this half of the paper.
Okay, so we're not recommending any solutions.
You're not making any recommendations. All you're doing is talking about what you
could base the recommendation on.
What you think the problem is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Early findings. What did you find in the literature? So maybe something that surprised you, or what patterns are there? This is, as you say, a conclusion of the previous 4 sections.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't introduce anything new here.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And it could be literature signals that the factors that influence, because your problem statement was broad, in most cases, was broad enough. It wasn't telling me exactly what the problem was. It was really about, this is an area that needs to be investigated. If they knew what the solution was going to be, they wouldn't be hiring a consultant. So you're going and looking and not making assumptions about what the problem is, but you've spent the last 6 weeks exploring that, all of the things that go into making up that problem. And now you're going to come out and say, of all of the things that make up that problem, these are the ones that are the most important.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
nothing new in section 5.
Yeah.
It's not a
Okay.
ta-da moment.
All right. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Danny. Just to add on to that, I may have missed it. I understood the nothing new in section 5, but can we still make some in-text citations of authors while we are supporting or saying
course.
whatever it is that was
Yeah.
outstanding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
Ah,
you can.
the
But
brand
I
new
wouldn't
author,
expect them to be the first time that you
new.
cited those authors in that
Yes.
section. You've cited
Okay.
them somewhere else and you're just recognizing the
Making
contribution of
reference.
the
Yes.
author. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you
Thank
can,
you.
absolutely you can. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Because it's still, the idea still came from somewhere, right? And it's okay to interpret and synthesize the work of other authors. That's fine.
Okay. Well understood. Thank you.
You're welcome. What else we got going on? Okay, sorry, I do have a couple of questions here. Sorry, I might have. Are we expected to write a reflective summary, synthesizing what we have learned across weeks 1 to 5, while still structuring? Yeah. So your question, should we write a reflective summary for week 6, synthesizing what you've learned about using AI across weeks 1 to 5, while still structuring the entry around the 6 reflective questions used in the previous weeks? Yes. So it depends on how you've approached your AI learning journal. If you've aligned it with the workshops, you're going to end up with a week at the end, which a reflection is a great way to do that, to demonstrate your thinking as you go through. If you did it week 1 of the course, which was the week before the workshop started, if you started your journal that week, then you might have your first week might be a little bit more talking about how, reflecting on your previous use of AI, what your expectations from AI were, and then you kind of you could journey through the 6 weeks that way. So it depends on how you've already approached that work. If you're getting to week, this thing's due on Sunday, and if you haven't done it yet, and you're starting from, and you're going to align them back to the teachings or the workshops for that week, then I would treat week 6 as an overall reflection of change over the 5 weeks. That's how I would do that. Is the first section does not have marks? Can we make it short, or do we have to elaborate the statement and the evolutions? You need to do everything in section 1. So basically, you're going to restate it. So the reason that you're restating it here is because if you don't, then you're making the assumption that the reader knows what your problem is. So if you are simply restating your problem statement from your assignment without change, then you can just put it in there. If you haven't changed it, you don't need to justify how it has changed over time, because it hasn't. If you so you would then provide academic and industry references to support the significance and strategic importance of this problem. That's not a replication of the previous work, just here's my problem statement. Make a statement whether or not if you haven't changed it, tell the reader that you haven't changed it. If you have changed it, you'll need to justify why you've changed it, and then you'll do some referencing. There is no grade attached to this part, because my expectation is that you did such an amazing job in the the problem statement assignment that you don't need to change it. That's why there's no grade here. You've already been graded for that section. But if you do change it, refine it, because you've realized that you want to make it work, maybe it was too broad and you want to really focus it down, then you're going to need to justify the changes that you've made, right? There's no grade for that. So that's why there's no grade. You've already had the grade. So, yeah. So if you haven't changed it, Utkarsh, if you haven't changed it, just restate it so that the person who's reading your assignment knows what your assignment, your portfolio is going to be about. Okay, I just wanted to clarify, Gaurav, just want to clarify the week one. I was a bit confused about whether the week meant. I think I've answered that question a couple of times, and since you posted that question, I think I've answered it. Can you just let me know in the chat whether you still need me to go over that week one again? I think I've done it since you put your question up. What's expected for the method section for Busan briefly? Can we use table? Yeah. Yes, sorry, I'll come back to you, Gaurav. Yes, please. Yes, please go over it again, or yes, please, I've answered your question. I'll come back to you. What's expected in the method section for Busan briefly? I'm just reading that again. Where is the method section? Yeah, so follow the assignment instructions for what's expected in there is just what you're going to use, what tools you're going to use. In addition to the methodologies section that I covered in lecture 5 and that you would have taken out of workshop 5, in addition to that, I want the Busan students to tell me what quantitative tools you will be using for your analysis. So are you using Power BI, Excel, Tableau, or what, right? Just for the quantitative parts. So you're going to have some data sets and you're going to do some analysis. I just want you to tell me what it is that you're going to be doing. Now, I'm not sure if one or two students are here. I read some problem statements the other day that the students said that they were going to be doing some interviews and collecting data. You're not going to be doing that. Not just Busan students. No students are going to be out collecting data at all. No interviews. I've said this before. You can only use secondary sources, which are sources that have already been published. You may not create sources or data or interviews or transcripts for your own analysis. You may not do that. Thank you. For week 6, do we not need to include an appendix with AI prompts or a reference list? I'm not expecting a reference list in the AI journal. I'm not expecting a reference list there because it's all about your own reflections and recording of your own activities and your outputs from your AI. If you're thinking that needs to be referenced, you probably need to go back and take another look at the instructions again, right? Is there an appendix in week 6? Well, it kind of depends. So I'll answer Gaurav's question, and then it will probably answer your question as well. So this is a recap of what I said just before, your AI learning journal will depend, your 6 entries will depend on how you have done the work for the first few weeks. If journal entry 1 or week 1 related to workshop 1, and that's your starting point, then you are going to only have 5 entries, in which case you are going to need to do a 6th entry, which is a reflection, perhaps, of the change over time. So you will be reflecting on the whole 6 weeks of the course. If you started your AI learning journal in week 1 of the course, right, then you are in a position where maybe entry 1 relates to your understanding and your relationship with AI in advance of learning how to prompt or learning how to push back or learning how to use it through the workshops. So it depends on where you start from. So either is absolutely fine with me, as long as there are 6 entries, and what we can see when we're reading it is that you are reflecting on your own changes over time of how you're using it, what you're learning from it, how that's impacting how you work, what the changes are. Like, basically, I'm asking you to demonstrate your growth over 6 weeks. So if your prompts in week 6 are the same as your prompts in week 1, where's the improvement? That's not authentic. If you haven't learnt, unless you were amazing with AI to start with, in which case, congratulations. Right? What have you learned? How has it changed how you approach things? You're welcome. Wanted to check whether including screenshots of AI in the appendix would strengthen. I don't want a written summary of anything. What I want is a whole thread of outputs. I'm not going to answer that, Pallard, because I just explained that for the second time. I just finished explaining that. So if you don't understand it, I will post this video and you'll be able to go back and actually have a rewatch of that section, right? It'll be about an hour 21 in, about an hour 15 in. What is better for your AI learning journal is for you to include all of the prompts and the outputs for every week, so that we can see exactly what you've been doing, right? Because a few screenshots doesn't show me anything. This is about transparency. So I want to see everything you did every single week. And so that means that the document could be really large. Right? Don't summarize things. I want to see the raw outputs. You can format them and tidy them up and number them week 1, week 2, week 3, etc. But if everything isn't there, then you're not going to do as well as somebody who includes everything. Now that sounds like it's going to be, I don't know, 100 pages long. I don't care. I don't care how long it is. I'm not going to read it word for word. I'm going to look at it and get an overview of how you've improved over time. The things that we're going to really pay attention to are the journal entries themselves, your reflections. We'll read those word for word. But the rest of it, I'm just going to high level read it and not make mental notes about how you've improved over time and comparing between sections. So it all needs to be in there. And screenshots won't help. Right, any more questions? We're just about done for the day. You're welcome, Karina. Good luck. Thanks, Elka. You have a happy holidays to you too. I hope you at least get a bit of a break. Thank you. Thanks, Cindy. All right, I'm going to stop the recording here and call the end of the session. I look forward to seeing you all when we come back. When you come back, you'll be going into group works, but we're going to send out some information on the as a notice. What do you call those things? Announcements, and your tutors as well. So I know your tutors have been trying to get you into groups. So we'll work through all of that during the trimester break. And I will send an announcement about how it's all going to work from on the Monday that we come back. So you'll be going into groups and your tutorials from then. So hopefully we'll have had it all sorted out so that those that need to move will move. All right. Good luck. Have a great break. See you, everybody.